All Across Perspectives is using our perspective of concepts, ideas, and latest news events that are reshaping the world that you live in to educate and inform so that the average person can prosper in this ever-changing world.
You can't handle the truth.
Breaking news.
Note: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowances made fair use for the purposes such as criticism, news reporting, educational, informative, and more. No copyright infringement intended. This video falls under fair use guidelines. Any attempt to claim and falsely the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, better known as DMCA, is illegal and will be countered. Hello. This is All Across Perspectives, Worldly Financial News Report for the week of April 12th, 2026, and I'm your host, EveretteDaye. These are the exciting events that we will cover today. World's most powerful reset was tweeted by your president, Donald John Trump. What is he referring to? What is behind it to make it happen? And is our financial system being restructured right before us? This question and many more will be answered on this week's edition of All Across Perspectives Worldly Financial News Report. And as always, we start the call with some informative videos to share while others join the live call.
In a nutshell, what I think will happen is the US debt gets privatized and uploaded to the world. Right? Every major corporation will become a bank. Every major app will become a wallet, and every person on earth with a smartphone will become an unknowing creditor to the United States government. They will solve the debt problem and the AI problem at the same time with a digital currency system that funds the government, controls the UBI payments that feeds the people that lost their jobs to AI in the first place, and it gives the central planners a button that they can turn on or off for every single person's financial life. Okay, hold on. That sounds crazy, right? What does that even look like? All right, so imagine Tesla announces a digital wallet. You load it up with dollars. Tesla takes those dollars and invests them into US Treasury bonds, earning, let's say, 4 or 5%. Tesla keeps a little, passes some back to you in the form of rewards, discounts on your next car, maybe charging credits, maybe an actual yield, right? You're happy because your money's working for you. Tesla's happy because they're earning a spread on their deposits, and the US government is happy because someone bought more of their debt. Now multiply that across every major corporation on earth. You'll get Apple Wallet, Amazon Wallet, McDonald's Wallet, Google Pay with yield, every airline, every retailer, every platform we already use. All of them will become distribution channels for US government debt. All of them holding US treasuries as the backing for whatever digital asset or rewards program they'll offer you. Now, if that sounds like some crazy theory, this is literally what the legislation moving through Congress right now requires. It's called the Genius Act. And what it says is, any company that wants to issue a stablecoin, a dollar-pegged digital asset, must hold US treasuries or equivalent safe assets as the backing, dollar for dollar. Which means corporations will have to buy real government debt first. And this has already been successfully tested with a company called Tether, the company behind the biggest stablecoin in the world. It holds over $120 billion in US treasuries right now. Right, that makes them one of the biggest holders of US government debt on the planet. In fact, bigger than some countries even. And Tether was the system's test. Now, imagine this same dynamic, but with the brand recognition of Tesla, the distribution of Apple, the loyalty programs of every airline and retailer we already use.
So the new speeches and white papers are out from the BIS. Turns out the governing director of the Central Bank of France and Germany have both blatantly announced that they are terrified and have lost control, which is amazing for us. The ECB is an open panic. The FSB is an open panic. The Foreign Investment Board of the Federal Reserve is currently bifurcated down the middle on arguances on foreign investiture. The Exim Bank is rerouting for our interests. All new trade contracts are going into effect bilaterally. You can go read the trade report. New businesses are prospering via the census data, but it gets even better because the Hudson's Bay Company has finally gone defunct after hundreds of years of soft power influence. The Lloyd's of London is collapsing. Even the Vatican and the Holy See are liquidating their holdings in London, among several other core centers. So it really is just a phenomenal time to be alive. I remain concerned about the merger between the DTCC's regulatory body, which goes through the SEC, and the Futures Commission, and that joint AI database. I am very concerned about that. But I think it's pretty safe to say that the old world order under European governance is dead. Miss Ursula should receive her golden parachute anytime, and the European Parliament is an open collapse. Several countries are moving towards their own alliances, be it trade or military. The French general has blatantly announced that any status of force agreements or trade route agreements or multilaterals that are not NATO cannot compel us to do anything, which means we could wipe a whole bunch of them fucking things off. Welcome to the game. It's finally unpaused after 86 fucking years. I'm very excited to see where the fuck this goes.
Dominance of the dollar eroding meaningfully in the next decade? And what would that mean for global stability?
I think that all fiat currencies are in trouble. All fiat currencies are debt. Debt is money and money is debt. What I mean is, debt is a promise to receive somebody else's money. If you devalue money, you devalue debt. And when you hold money, you hold it in the form of a debt instrument. So debt is money, and there's too much debt, and it's increasing. So you're going to devalue money and debt, and so on. And I think quite like the 70s or quite like the 30s, you see them going down in response.
Banks were invented around Bretton Woods, which was post World War II. Europe was, and Asia was a unique time in America, and it led to incredible prosperity across the world. So, why can't we do that again? And why can't we focus on growth? Like, what are the tools? What is hindering growth of these economies?
And in almost every period of time in our lifetime, if you bought the dips, every time you would have benefited. I mean, think about it. My letter talks about if you invested on January 1st, 2000, and a year later, we had a 40% drawdown. We had the dot-com boom. We had the great financial crisis. We had COVID. We had many other things, but you made over 8 times your money. I believe we are just the beginning of growing the global capital markets. And I do believe you're going to see the breadth and depth of the global capital markets growing, and BlackRock will be a part of that. And
I think the movement towards tokenization, decimalization is necessary. It's ironic that we see 2 emerging countries leading the world in decimalization, in the tokenization and digitization of their currency. That's Brazil and India. I think we need to move very rapidly to doing that. We would be reducing fees. We would do more democratization by reducing more fees if we had all investments on a tokenized platform that you could move from a tokenized money market fund to equities and bonds and back and forth. We have one common blockchain. We will, we could reduce corruption. So I would argue that yes, we have more dependencies on maybe one blockchain, which we could all talk about. But that being said, the activities are probably processed and more secure than ever.
Good evening, everybody. It is a pleasure, as always, to come together, share concepts, ideas, and the latest news events to get a full understanding of what the hell is going on in our world today. I know I started off with some heavy stuff for y'all so far. I'm going to tell you right now, you haven't seen anything yet. Always, we're going to start off with what is going on to restructure our standard of governance here in the United States. I don't know if you guys seen any, while I load this stuff, I got a question. Has anybody seen any of the tweets that Trump has posted as of late? Just a quick question.
Yeah.
I know you have.
Ooh, my goodness. Don't leave out Melania.
Oh my God. Do you guys even know the story behind? All right, so you guys noticed that she got up on camera and talked about the fact that she did not even know Jeffrey Epstein, right? You guys saw it, right?
That's a lie she told.
Yeah,
While they were writing pictures of him.
The story behind it. Do you know the story? I know some of you. I sent it to a couple people.
I don't. About the one who got deported.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna try to give you a high level overview. This is the deal. She had a best friend. You know, I don't know if they were in pageants or whatever the case, who wound up marrying the individual who Melania claimed introduced Donald Trump to her. Okay, and the lady went and married this guy. This guy, I don't know exactly where she's from, somewhere in South America.
Brazil.
Okay. She's from Brazil. Okay, thank you. She's from Brazil. She got kicked out. Trump helped get her
deported.
I almost said extradited. Got her deported. And the son, the child is still here.
Oh.
So, yes, so
the man ran off with the child, brought him back to the country. He was 17 years old. He's 17.
So what this lady is claiming she's going to do is she's going to tell everything, because her and Melania were the best of friends.
Well, just do it. Stop all the talk.
I know. But like I said, guys, this is what we're dealing with. You know, it's he said, she said. It's like a big soap opera. You know, as the world crumbles that's how I'm gonna look at it. And as the world turns, the world crumbles. But I got some heavy stuff for you. Like I said, guys, we always share the latest news events because the world we're used to is changing. And if we don't get a foot on it and get a full understanding right now, we will be lost in the sauce. Okay, so let's jump into this. This was a post that President Trump tweeted on April 10th, the world's most powerful reset. What is he talking about? Okay, now I already shared with you within the last couple of weeks, he posted and said that the dollar collapsed. That was on March 26th, okay? So now he's saying that the world's most powerful reset. So we are headed into a reset. But when he says a reset, what is he speaking of? Here we go. Biggest news, the United States corporation, where you are an employee of from your birth, okay, because of your birth certificate, has collapsed. Trump takes command, restores America's sovereignty as maritime law has collapsed. The United States corporation is dead. Donald Trump is now commander-in-chief, restoring America's sovereignty. Maritime law is over. Now understand, when you go into court and you go before a judge and you walk past, when you go to where the attorneys stand, you boarded a ship, because the laws that we run under are maritime law. So if you hear Trump constantly saying we're going back to constitutional law, that's what he means. We're going back to the law of the land. Okay, so you got to remember the Tri-State Commission, the Vatican, the Pope died. Okay, they controlled all religion. You had the monarchy, Queen Elizabeth died. Okay, and then you had the United States. It was a trilateral. That's why if you look at Washington, D.C.'s flag, it's 3 stars on it. We got to understand this stuff, guys. These are the things that are happening. So if we go in, I just want you guys to see, I'm not going to read all this. It's too much. And then I can drop it in the chat for you guys, for those that want to see. It just says here at the top, branches of government and jurisdiction is we the people in lawful assembly. It talks about the Bill of Rights, First Amendment. Okay. Says here, every man is independent of all laws except those prescribed by nature. He is not bound to any institutions formed by his fellow men without his consent. And it talks about the Act of 1871, where they created the Corporation of the United States of America. Okay, and it's just all this. So when you get bills in the mail and your name is in all caps, you are a business. They're tearing all this stuff down, guys. And it just says understanding the hierarchy of authoritative power. It talks about the Constitution as to the construction with reference to common law. An important canon of construction, that is, constitutions must be construed to reference to the common law. Okay, so I just want you guys to see this. Like I said, I'll drop this, but I just wanted you to see. It's important that we understand this stuff, because everything we thought we knew is about to be completely different. Your world is changing. If we go to the last page, it talks about, in conclusion, if a people expect to be ignorant and free, they expect what never was and never shall be, which was by Thomas Jefferson. It just says here, while freedom is your unalienable right, it is not free. It was paid for by the blood of our ancestors. It is our duty to educate ourselves and our children in order to understand our true authority and protect our rights. The only way to honor those who rebelled against tyranny, who were conquered, enslaved, and killed, is to ensure freedom for all. I'm going to drop this, okay, in the chat. And for those that want to go in and read it, go ahead. And as you know the rules, I always say, always keep a Word doc open so you can copy and paste these links so you can go back and look at them, or you open up on your computer if you have the ability of doing that, so you can go back and reference this stuff. All right, the next thing I got, it says here, they thought they could steal America. This one was on the debt clock, guys. That was right there. We look at this secret window all the time. Okay, I can't go there now because it has changed, but it just says it right here. They thought they could steal America. This is what we got. I got to read this because this is important. It's almost as if the Fed is dead and Donald Trump killed it. If the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 were deemed by a legitimate U.S. Constitution or continuity of government, in parentheses, COG, okay, authority to have been enacted by fraud, which might follow with or without a media global press release and or mass public awareness. If the Federal Reserve System is derived its authority from a fraudulent 1913 act, then hypothetically all actions rooted in that act's authority would deem void to include these four fundamentals. So the first one is the monetary policy operations. Setting the federal funds rate, open market operations, buying and selling treasuries, balance sheet expansion, better known as quantitative easing. This could be enjoined, paused, pending legal resolution. The second one is bank supervision and regulations, capital requirements, stress testing, examination authority over member banks. These powers would transfer temporarily, listen to this, to agencies like the OCC, which is the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, or the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or better known as the FDIC, or be reauthorized by Congress or a COG, remember COG, CIC POTUS, which is the President of the United States. Remember, we talked about Nassar Jassar. The Treasury has already taken over the IRS and the Federal Reserve. They're coming out with United States Treasury dollars, and they're bankrupting the Federal Reserve note. Remember, the dollar's changing, it's going digital. Okay, so keep this in mind as we see this. Currency issuance mechanics, Federal Reserve debt notes, reserve account management. Important nuance. The United States constitutional dollar itself is grounded in broader U.S. congressional authority. The Coinage Act powers. So legitimate U.S. currency wouldn't disappear. Keyword, it wouldn't disappear, but issuance mechanics would need complete restructuring. Hence, like I said, President Trump is going to have his name on the new $100 note that they're creating, coming from the Treasury. Reported on that in our last group. or our last meeting. All right, so we're seeing all this stuff take place. This is the first time a sitting president has his name on a bill of physical money. He's usually the treasurer, okay? So it's being restructured. It says payments and settlement systems, FedWire and ACH infrastructure, because these are critical infrastructure. United States courts or COG authorities would certainly keep them running under emergency authority. Remember, I told you that they were going to run physical money along with digital for at least a year, while also transferring them to the U.S. Treasury oversight. You can't make this up, guys. We've talked about this for over 6 years. It is happening right now. Your world is changing. Money will be completely different. If such a ruling action occurred, rapid legislative COG action would likely lead to Congress or COG authorities passing and enacting a replacement framework. FedWire got changed. SWIFT got changed. Everything went digital. Everybody understand, these are the things that you wanted to see. It's happening right now. Reassert authority under Article 1 powers. Restructure Treasury clarity with clear rules-based oversight. U.S. Treasury would temporarily assume monetary functions, guarantee liquidity. Potential restorative action. This is where it gets substantive. If the Federal Reserve Act was deemed structurally illegitimate, remedies would include A, structural reform. Listen to this, redesign of monetary governance and currency. So if anybody sits up and says there's no way in the world they would come out with a treasury dollar and this is not happening, it's just been written right there. Increased transparency mandates. That's why they turned around and said, we want to go digital because you get to see everything. You had Elon Musk come in with DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. They turned around and said, we did audits. There's all this money that's been wastefully used and been paid out to people. You got APAC, you got all these different entities that have been receiving money all over the place. Was that USAID? Clear congressional control. A financial redress, targeted compensation in cases of specific probable harm. C, complete U.S. policy reset, rules-based monetary systems, real asset-backed frameworks. Remember, we're going back to gold. We're going back on the gold standard. Real asset-backed frameworks, digital settlement layers. Everybody understand where we're going. Under a fraud vitiates everything. The United States law or COG would not seek civilization scale systems changes that wreak global havoc. It would force a proper reckoning that demanded order, continuity, restoration, and constitutionality. Because justice rightly applied doesn't just immediately tear down what's broken. So I just want you guys to see this. Your world is changing. So here we go. The IRS is gone. Bye-bye. I'm the only one crazy enough and brave enough to tell y'all. They've been stealing our blood, sweat, and tears. And it's a completely voluntary system. And almost none of us read the fine print. Taxation has been the theft in the way it was set up, having us believe we owe this and that and the other thing. You're getting it all back in numerous ways. Just hold on, as people have shown. But just know Doge is about to enter into the IRS. So they're going to go in there and start doing audits in there. Now, they're using artificial intelligence. So they're going to be able to find what they need to find really quick. Okay? To private property. I want you to hear this. This is what's going on with private property, okay? It is your constitutional right to own your own land. Here we go.
The right to private property is not a vague economic theory. The founders of this country knew that a free people could not remain free if the government controlled where they lived and what they could do on their property. The right to private property is the right to be secure in what you have earned and the right of the individual to determine who has access. And that is why the Fourth Amendment is so important. It clearly states that the government cannot come on your property without due process that has been reviewed by a judge. And that's not a legal loophole. That is the defense against government overreach. And yet today, we see Eagle claiming that they have that authority to come onto private property without a warrant. If a state agency can come onto your property without judicial oversight and issue orders, then private property itself becomes a privilege. It becomes conditional as granted by the government instead of a right protected by the Constitution. That is simply not the Michigan that we believe in, and it is certainly not the America that we have been promised in the Constitution. The Constitution is not impeding progress. It is the compass that keeps us on the right path. And I hope today that my colleagues join me in honoring that amazing document, and I hope they join me in fulfilling our oath to that document, and I hope they join me in voting yes on 4421 to protect private property rights.
Okay, now keep in mind, guys, as we see this stuff play out, all it takes is one state to initiate. So you got, I think he said Michigan. He's in Michigan, and they're in the process of changing the laws for property rights and stuff. We also know that Florida is one of the states that took away, I think it's Florida and Mississippi signed already stating that they are not going to be charging property taxes. Not only that, I've shared with you over a period of time, there are a number of states that have already created their own Bitcoin strategic reserves. You got Oklahoma, Montana, and I think Wyoming have their own physical gold, their own physical gold leaf money, physical money. And then Florida just passed a law in their state for stablecoin. So you're seeing it all come into play. We're going to go to Secretary of State now. He says, we won't have to talk about sanctions in 5 years because there will be so many countries transacting in their own currencies. Guys, the dollar is done. Okay, here we go.
Today, Brazil, in our hemisphere, largest country in the Western Hemisphere south of us, cut a trade deal with China. They're going to, from now on, do trade in their own currencies, get right around the dollar. They're creating a secondary economy in the world, totally independent of the United States. We won't have to talk about sanctions in 5 years because there'll be so many countries transacting in currencies other than the dollar that we won't have the ability to sanction them.
Okay, guys, as you see, we've lost our power. We are not the reign anymore, okay? We run everything through SWIFT. Well, it's over. Now, here we go. I showed you the tweet that President Trump tweeted, said the world's most powerful reset, okay? So it says here, breaking, after Trump's post, world's most powerful reset, it is now being reported that he is summoning all bank leaders to discuss a global financial threat. This was on the 10th. The new system that we are about to embark on is not a threat to us, the people. It is a threat to the establishment. Remember, I told you before, guys, all wars are banking wars. We will get into it today. You think the Strait of Hormuz was because we just wanted to attack Israel? We're going to get into it because it's benefiting the U.S. This is interesting to see where this is going. So like I said, our whole goal is to get the full picture of everything, not just turn around and have one topic, okay? It says this is a threat to establishment because it will be returning sovereignty back to the countries and ultimately down to its citizens. You have to be mindful of the doublespeak and the false narratives, okay? So it says Trump summons all bank leaders over terrifying new threat to global financial system. Remember, they're tearing down the Rothschild banking system, okay? And they're coming back to sovereign money. So they're redistributing all wealth back to people. They already said money is going to be overly abundant to everybody, okay? And it's possible. So have we heard of the Plaza Accords before? Anybody heard of the Plaza Accords before? No. Okay. That's why I love doing a live call, guys, so we can look this stuff up, okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so here we go. I'll go Plaza Accord. It's a joint. I'll go to the big one first. All right, so Plaza Accord was an agreement. All right, Plaza Accord was a joint agreement signed on September 22nd, 1985, okay? in Plaza Hotel in New York. Now, here it is. It says between France, West Germany, Japan, United Kingdom, United States to depreciate the US dollar in relation to the French franc, the German Deutschmark, and the Japanese yen, and the British sterling pound by intervening in currency markets. Okay? So they had the Plaza Accord that took place in 1985. And the reason why I'm doing this is because now you got the Mar-a-Lago Accord. Okay, this is interesting. Here we go. It says, it's called the Mar-a-Lago Accord theory. Most mainstream AI models are trained to avoid these topics, but the AI tools their person is building, okay, well, here we go. It says, we've been hearing a lot about the Abraham Accords, but why haven't we heard much about the Mar-a-Lago Accord or the Plaza Accord in 85? It says, now we know that there's an actual name for this financial shift. The Mar-a-Lago Accord, which is suggesting we're heading toward a coordinated global reset negotiated at the highest levels, potentially reshaping the dollar's role in the world's economy. It was brought to light, okay, in this person's monetary reset tracker. So here we go. I just want you guys to see it. It's a Mar-a-Lago theory. The Accord theory embodies potential currency realignment strategies with a focus on dollar revaluation. Dialogue revolves around carefully curated strategies for dollar realignment to counter extensive trade deficits and ensure long-term global competitiveness. Trade deficit reduction, improved trade imbalances underscore potential currency adjustments, fostering national economic prosperity. Gold revaluation. Direct discussions yet to crystallize, although reference policies could foreseeably adjust gold's formal valuation against systemic fiscal entries. New Bretton Woods style agreement. Aspirations traced to Plaza in 1985, fragmentary, albeit illustrating a collectively poised for renewed economic cooperation. So guys, they're restructuring the entire financial system and they're doing it under the guise of the Mar-a-Lago Accord. Okay. Breaking, U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent is urging Congress to pass the crypto market structure bill before it's too late. Now, he's pushing for it publicly. The Senate returns April 13th, which is tomorrow. Markup targeting late April. My understanding, guys, we'll get into it. I believe I have some information on it as we get deeper. Treasury Secretary Bessent turned around and was pushing for Congress to, come up and agree with the Clarity Act. Now you got other people stepping in behind them. The CFTC, the SEC, okay, are all stepping in, as well as the Treasury saying, hey, you need to get this done. So it says Clarity Act pushes escalating. Bessent called for the action. Now CELIC, which is the SEC, Atkins is the CFTC, and Sachs is the right-hand man to Trump, which is considered the crypto czar, all respond. Same direction. Future-proof against rogue regulators, clear market structure, SEC, CFTC ready to implement. So here we go. This is what they said. So David Sachs, the Genius Act signed by President Trump last year to establish U.S. leadership on stablecoins. Okay. He says the Clarity Act, also known as market structure legislation, would do the same for all other digital assets by providing clear rules of the road. Secretary Bessent is right. The time to act is now. Senate banking and then the full Senate should pass market structure. I'm confident they will. And then President Trump will sign this landmark bill into law. Now, keep in mind, guys, the only reason no one is seeing crypto make a move right now is because everybody wants to make sure it's written in the law. What are the rules? We already had the SEC and the CFTC come in and the OCC give their acknowledgement in their agreements, but if they do not get Congress to write it into law, the next administration that comes in can reverse it. So that's why they're pushing to get this done. It is important for them. It says Project Crypto is designed so once Congress acts, the SEC governor and CFTC are ready to implement the Clarity Act. Everybody see where I'm going. This is interesting. These are the comments everybody's saying. Mike Selig, I couldn't agree more. with Scott Bessent. It's time for future-proof digital asset markets in America with legislation that can't be undone by rogue regulators under a new administration. They have to they got to get Congress, according to how our laws are set up, they have to get Congress to turn around and accept and do and make this stuff legal. Are we good?
Of course we are.
Yep, we sure are.
We are good.
Awesome.
There's so much going on to your head is just constantly turning from left to right, trying to
I
keep
know
up.
that's right. Absolutely.
It's worse than watching a tennis match.
Okay, so you're absolutely right. Left, right, left, right, left, right. So my question to you is, imagine having all this stuff take place around you, but you didn't have like what we're doing a call and we can talk this stuff out. Imagine that. How confused would you be? Everybody see where I'm going? That's why it's imperative that we build this community, because we need to understand everything we thought we knew was about to be completely different. The way we even transfer money is about to be, like I said, guys, you have the ability of being your own bank with crypto. You can stake it, you can turn around, you can lend it, you can leverage it, you can do so many things, and then you would earn your money on top of that. And that will be the money that you can spend. Everybody understand where I'm going? Whereas if you go to the bank, they would turn around and do fractional reserve currency. So at one point in time, they had to keep 10% in reserve. So for every $100, they had to keep $10. They changed that back in 2023. Okay, so now it's zero. It's down to zero. So they can lend out all the money they have. So now what happens is you got individuals that are coming in asking for their money, and you got people like Blue Owl, you have BlackRock, they're stopping and limiting people. And we'll cover that tonight too. I got stuff on that. They're limiting people from being able to withdraw the money that they had invested with them. This is the game that's being played because there's no money, guys. If you like this video, do me a favor, hit like and share it with others so people can get this full understanding of what's taking place with this market in this industry, because it's up to you to make the changes necessary. Okay, this is All Across the Spectrum, World Financial News Report for the week of April 12, 2026. Strive to be your best each and every day in every situation. Leave the result as is because it's the result anyway. And find a way to raise your vibration so high as matrix glitches, lights flicker, and stagnant, dormant, and negative energies all transmute just because you stepped into the room. And I'll see each and every one of you over the top. You guys have a beautiful evening, and I will talk to you guys later.
Already? I was cooking the whole time. I'm a little bit late.